Hello, my name is Norm, and I am a middle-aged dad.
And I am Ari, a K-pop listener.
And this is
K-pop for old people.
the show where Ari teaches me about K-pop.
Yes.
Who are we going to learn about today?
Today we're going to be learning about BLACKPINK.
BLACKPINK. That sounds exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to that, what's new with you?
Not much really. Just been listening to recent releases of K-pop albums.
Anything remarkable?
I mean, ITZY's new album, Kill My Doubt, is pretty fun. I like the songs. Probably my favorite would be Kill Shot or Cake. Two very different sounding titles.
I guess so, yeah. A few weeks back, we talked about something that I wanted to circle back on because you mentioned there was a group that you were aware of that was going to debut soon called, I think it was A2K.
Oh, yeah.
Did that come out?
No, not yet. They're still in their training period. I have been watching the kind of YouTube episodes because they put them basically on episodes on YouTube. We're on like episode 5 or 6 or something, and they've started the boot camp that they go to.
Oh, okay. So that's still in the works.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, I'm sure you'll let me know when that is a full-fledged thing.
Yeah, I probably will.
So I have been listening to K-pop as well because, as is my custom, I guess, I always try to listen to some of the songs of the group that we talked about last time. And last time we talked about BTS.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listened to 3 BTS songs. And we acknowledged that BTS you're not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And while we acknowledged that they are probably the most popular K-pop band of recent history, if not of all time, in America, I had never listened to any of their songs. So you didn't have any specific recommendations. You mentioned a few songs, but because you're not a huge fan, you didn't necessarily have any strong recommendations. I went and I looked to see what their historically most popular songs were. And I have sort of this weird obsession with the Billboard charts and the Billboard Hot 100. And it's not like I care so much about what is or isn't a hit. And I don't think that necessarily just because a song is like a top 10 or a number 1 hit makes it a better song than any other song. But I do think it says something interesting about us as a culture to see what songs become the most popular songs in America, at least as gauged by the Billboard charts. So I went and I looked to see what the biggest hits on the Billboard charts were for BTS. Obviously, there's Korean charts, which are different. There's charts all over the world, but we're American, so I'm interested in what was the most popular in America. And there were 4 number 1 songs that I saw of theirs, and I listened to 3 of them because one of them was a collaboration with Coldplay, and that was just a bridge too far for me. I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard that one.
Yeah. So I listened to the 3 number 1 hits, including one of them was nominated for a Grammy. That was the first one that I listened to, which is called Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta say, so I recognize that anyone listening that might be a BTS fan, like I'm going to say some things that might be outside of the popular opinion of BTS right now. But Dynamite as a song, I found, how do I say this? It didn't work for me at all.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm not a guy who listens to top 10 hits, current top 10 hits pretty much at all. So I get that I'm not fully the best judge of this or someone who has a good context for what is considered a huge pop hit these days. But like musically, it was pretty unremarkable. The lyrics, which were in English, really didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
That's not to say that you can't make a good song that have nonsense lyrics, because there's been plenty of them.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't understand why that one in particular was a big hit and a Grammy nominee. The next one I listened to was Life Goes On.
I don't think I know that one, actually.
Okay. I obviously had never heard it before either.
Yeah.
I liked it a little bit more. That one was in Korean, so I had to have my captions turned on.
Yeah.
The lyrics made a little bit more sense when I was reading the captions.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is. And then I also listened to Butter.
Yeah, I know that one.
That one, it seems like, was also a pretty huge hit. That one I liked a little better. One thing I also noticed, and this isn't from very long ago, right?
Yeah.
These were hits in, like, I think 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
But I think in pop music terms, that's a really long time ago.
Yeah, kind of.
Because things change so quickly, you know? And it was interesting because I was watching the music videos on YouTube. It was interesting to observe over time from, like, 2020 into 2021. Like, in that first video, in the Dynamite video, one thing that I found remarkable was, like, these 7 guys look to me almost identical. I want to be sensitive to the fact that, like, there's a stereotype of, like, white people thinking all Asian people look the same or something like that. And I don't mean it in that sense. I'm meaning it from a context of, like, my history with pop groups from the 90s. There was a concerted effort, you could tell, to make each member of a group like that look distinct.
Yeah.
In the way that, like, an NSYNC or a Backstreet Boys, or even if you think of, like, the Spice Girls, how they had, like, not only different looks, but, like, that was part of their identity, was, like, they had all distinct personalities, you know?
Yeah. And, like, in K-pop, they try to make, like, the outfits that the people are wearing and, like, everything else all try to make it, like, look the same and similar so that it looks organized and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can understand how they look fairly similar.
Right, but, like, they all had, in that first video, it seemed like they all had, I mean, they all have the same body type. They all have the same kind of, like, sort of generic young man face. But then by Butter, which is only, I think, about a year later, they looked a lot more distinct. There were a lot more things going on to try to distinguish them in terms of, like, hairstyle and color and all that kind of thing, which I don't know if that's a conscious effort on the individual's part or part of, you know, their direction from the company or whatever, but it seemed like they were evolving somewhat as artists, which was interesting. I think Butter was probably a better song as well, from my perspective. The one thing that I can't get out of my mind, though, is that video ends with what appears to me to be one of them just stabbing a chunk of butter on a fork and eating it whole, and that I found very unsettling.
Yeah. Why would you just eat plain butter?
Like a big chunk of it, too. So
yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, why?
Yeah. Anyway, that's my hot take on BTS.
Yeah.
Again, don't come after me if you're a BTS stan, but I can understand why you, as a K-pop fan, might not rank them so highly, but clearly the world has, and good for them.
Another thing that I forgot from last episode, because we talked about Psy a bit, and BTS, of course, but I forgot about the fact that Psy and one of the members of BTS collaborated for a song called That, which is a pretty good song, and it's just a nice song, and I like it.
Okay, cool. All right, so we've talked about BTS. Now it's time to move on.
Yes.
Tell me about this week's artist.
So this week's artist is BLACKPINK, another very, very popular K-pop group in the U.S. and in basically everywhere. It's just not nearly as popular as BTS. Still very popular, though. I bet people with slightly more experience with K-pop knows what BLACKPINK is. Like, even if they don't even listen to it, and they would know BLACKPINK exists, because it's pretty popular.
All right. So I had never heard of BLACKPINK before, but obviously part of the entire premise of this podcast is that I don't know very much about K-pop. So, but among K-pop circles, they're pretty well known.
Yes. I'm not really a big fan of BLACKPINK, but like I still like their songs. Their songs are catchy and whatever. So like I have more information than I did about BTS, but still not quite a lot.
Okay.
Because I'm not very like into BLACKPINK.
You're not really plugged into the BLACKPINK-verse.
Yeah. BLACKPINK has 4 members, which is probably the smallest amount of members you could have in a K-pop group, because if it had less than that, it wouldn't really be a group anymore. It'd more be a trio.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. The members from oldest to youngest are Jisoo, Jennie, Rose, and Lisa. From what I know of the 4 members, Lisa is Thai and Rose is Australian or New Zealandish. What?
Okay.
From New Zealand, I believe.
From New Zealand. All right.
And all of them have had very big solos because BLACKPINK is very big. But for example, some of the solos they have are La Lisa and Money by Lisa, On the Ground by Rose, Solo by Jennie, and Flower by Jisoo. And recently, Flower by Jisoo has been like really popular. And it's an okay song, I guess. I haven't listened to the full thing. I've only really heard the snippets of people playing it. Okay. But like from what I know, it's a fairly good song.
So they're at a point in their career where they're releasing solo songs as well as a group.
Yeah. I believe that probably Lisa is the most successful one of them with solos. With their solos.
Okay.
You know, I'm pretty sure I know all the dances to all of those songs except for On the Ground and Solo. I know a bit of Solo, but none of On the Ground, other than they're laying on the ground at one point in the song, because everything she needs is on the ground. That's part of the lyrics.
Okay. It sounds like that one might be one I need to listen to, that I'm curious about.
Yeah. The only ones that I've listened to fully would probably Money and La Lisa. I don't know. I feel like those 2 are definitely probably my favorites out of the BLACKPINK solos.
Okay. Is the solo work a fairly recent development, or do they have a longer history?
I feel like it's been a few years, I believe, since like the first one, which I believe the first one was Money by Lisa. But the most popular one and most recent one was Flower, which was like this year, I believe.
Cool.
They debuted on August 8th, 2016 with the song Whistle/Boombaya, 2 different songs. I didn't know which one were their debut songs.
All right.
I searched it up on Google and it didn't tell me which one, so I just put both of them. And their most recent song, together at least, would be Pink Venom, I believe, which was from a while ago, but still very, very popular.
Pink Venom, that one sounds interesting as well.
Yeah. That one came out like a year or 2 ago. I don't know. I don't remember if it was 2022 or not. I'm pretty sure it's 2022. They're under YG Entertainment, and their fan group is called Blinks, because it's a mix of black and pink.
Blinks.
Yeah, Blink. Yeah.
Blink.
Speaking of YG Entertainment was, I believe, I don't know if they've debuted yet, but from what I've heard, they've been training a girl group called Baby Monster, which one of the members, or probably most of the members actually, but one of the members that I can remember at least, is like a big Lisa fan, and her name is Chiquita, I believe. I think that's her stage name. I don't know. I feel like BLACKPINK songs are definitely like very upbeat and interesting and like pretty easy to dance to. They're like some that aren't that great really, but they're all fairly catchy, and like for like almost a month I had the chorus of Whistle stuck in my head. Because it's just that interesting, I guess.
Okay.
Because like I'm not even really that into BLACKPINK, but I just couldn't get that out of my head.
Yeah, I mean, that is the mark of a catchy pop song.
Yeah.
So, do you know the origin of the name BLACKPINK?
No.
All right, asked and answered. Do they have a particular concept?
I believe their concept is girl crush, which I don't actually know what that is supposed to mean.
Okay.
Apparently, from what I've seen, is like girl crush is a concept that is sexy, cool, and badass. It is a way for girls to express their admiration for other girls without being sexualized, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, so like, I guess I'm interpreting that as meaning a girl who has an admiration for another girl, but not in a romantic kind of way.
Yeah, I always thought the girl crush was like trying to attract the most male fans as possible because it's girl crush. Because that's just what I thought of.
I mean, with a name like BLACKPINK, it sounds like it has a very visual element to it.
Yeah, because I feel like the black pink part of it could be like pink for like girly, but also black for like, you know, the badass part.
Right, yeah. No, that's how I would interpret that as well.
Yeah, I guess.
It sounds to me a little bit like they have maybe a little bit of a feminist bent.
Yeah, probably.
That's cool.
I mean, it definitely hasn't been sticking out as much as like with other groups. Like, for example, G-Idol's songs are like very push it in their face, the meaning of the song. Like it's very easy to understand what they're talking about if you just like look at the lyrics.
Okay. But anyway, back to
BLACKPINK.
BLACKPINK.
Yes. From what I've heard, apparently BTS and BLACKPINK used to have like a good relationship with each other, even though when boy groups and girl groups are paired together, it's like really awkward.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if a female idol and a male idol get too close together, they'll suddenly have dating scandal.
Yeah, I guess that is an aspect of the whole genre that I'm sure exists, but we haven't really discussed. Because the reason I say I'm sure that it exists is because that happened. I mean, whenever there's people in a certain social circle, I guess, like there's always going to be romantic entanglements, but like in the same way of like a Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears kind of situation, which I think to a certain degree is probably good for business from the music business side of things. Like
I feel like kind of more for Westerner music, but I feel like in K-pop, if some idol is dating another idol, it's going to cause like a lot of like craziness and fans are going to be upset and stuff like that, and so I feel like it just doesn't work well unless they're doing it secretly, which has happened before.
Yeah, definitely.
But as I was saying before, BTS and BLACKPINK used to have like a good relationship from what I've heard, but it kind of got ruined from like toxic fans, because I feel like ARMYs and Blinks aren't really the best mix.
Oh, okay. So like, is it a rivalry sort of situation?
Kind of.
Like, if you like one, then you...
I feel like in K-pop, they think if you like one group, or at least some really aggressive solo stands where they only like one group or one person in a group, they get like, I don't know, they just don't like it, I guess. I don't know.
So is it common in K-pop for people to sort of have factions where like if you like one group, you're not supposed to like the other?
Some people in K-pop think that, but like there are other people like me who like several different groups from like all sorts of companies and whatever, because they're all good and I like listening to their music and I think they're funny people.
Sure, I get that. I think it's natural for, you know, it's the whole human nature tribalism kind of thing of like,
yes,
you know, if you're a fan of my team, then you can't be a fan of...
Yeah, if there are like two big things, like groups competing against each other, you have to be on one side.
Right, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be competitive, but people will make it competitive.
Yeah.
Because that's the way people are. Okay, so do you have specific recommendations for me for BLACKPINK songs to listen to?
I feel like probably Pink Venom and... trying to think if they have any English songs. They don't have any English songs that I know of other than probably Ice Cream featuring Selena Gomez, but that one people didn't like it because like apparently it sounded like it was for children and it had double meaning in the lyrics and people just didn't like it in general.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like Pink Venom and probably As If It's Your Last, which is kind of a long title, but it's a pretty good song.
Okay, well, I'll have to give those a listen or watch the videos on YouTube as I typically do.
Yeah. I feel like with 4 people, it probably won't be as hard to tell who's who.
Yeah, that I'm interested to see the different dynamic because there's fewer people in the group.
Yeah.
But I will give you my reaction next time when after I've listened to some songs and I give you some reactions as I do every week.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of next week, who are we going to be talking about next time?
We're going to be talking about Stray Kids.
Oh, okay. So Stray Kids. This one, again, nothing I had ever heard of before before you got into K-pop, but I know that this is one that you particularly are into. In fact, I can see that you're wearing some of their merch right now.
Yeah, that's convenient.
So I'm sure you will have a lot to say about them.
Yeah, probably.
But I will have to wait until next time to find that out. Is there anything else before we go that I need to know about BLACKPINK?
Not that I can think of.
All right. So we'll leave it at that. I will listen to some BLACKPINK songs and we'll talk about it on next week's episode. And so I guess until then, thanks for listening and talk to you next time.
Annyeong.
Billboard charts and the Billboard Hot 100. So I picked the 3 songs. Well, actually, is Gracie in here or is she outside? She's outside.
Outside. Very loud.
Okay. So I looked to see what the... Okay. Good job, Gracie. You got me off my flow. So I went to see what the most... Oh, wow, Gracie. This is not going to work, Gracie. We're going to have to do something about this.